When I finally decided to chase my author dream, I confessed my intention to one of the people that I admire and respect most in this world. And he put his hand on my shoulder, looked me in the eye, and said, "Catherine, you can't make money writing books." Unbeknownst to him, it took me an incredible amount of courage to even tell him about my dream, because I'd been talking myself out of chasing it for over 10 years. But I can still remember the conviction in his voice when he told me it was never going to happen. In that moment, my author career could have ended before it ever had a chance to get off the ground, except I had already done the one thing that we are going to talk about in this video, the single most important thing you can do for your author career. As a result, I went on to write and publish dozens of titles and sell over $1 million worth of books without fancy writing credentials or impressive industry connections. So this is always the first thing I suggest authors do, because it acts as a compass that not only helps you achieve your goals faster, but allows you to have a lot more fun doing it. So do not pass go or collect $200 until you've done this for yourself, because it is going to save you so much time, energy, and money on your journey. So let's get into it. The most important thing you'll ever do for your author career is define success on your own terms. Now, if this sounds a little fluffy at first, I promise it won't in a second when I reveal the ripple effect this is going to have on your author career, because it is going to do 3 critically important things for you. The first thing it's going to do for you is clarify your first step and your next step and the best step you can take after that. After all, how can you proceed with any confidence knowing you're taking a step in the right direction if you aren't sure where you ultimately want to end up? Say you have an author who just wants to get their story out of them and hold their book in their hands and leave it behind as part of their legacy for their loved ones. This author is going to take a totally different first step, second step, etc., than an author who wants to have a lucrative publishing career with loyal readers all over the world who are constantly begging for their next release. 2 different authors, 2 different goals, 2 very different paths. For example, one of the biggest myths that keeps skillful writers from attracting the readership they deserve is the idea that you don't need to think about marketing until after you finish your book. If you don't really care if anyone ever reads your book or connects with your characters or clutches your story to their chest, then yeah, you don't need to think about marketing at all, ever, not even for 1 second. But if you truly deep down want readers to connect with your characters, connect with your stories, find your books, feel them, finish them, and tell their friends about them, then the marketability of your story is actually one of the first things that you want to think about. The second thing that having a personal definition of success will do for you is help you avoid shiny objects. Now, obviously, if you have a creative brain and you love to learn, the opportunity for shiny objects you could take advantage of abound. There will never be a shortage. This is perhaps the one constant we can really count on as creatives. But you can leak a lot of energy to this on your author journey, constantly evaluating every shiny object that crosses your path. Like, is this a good investment of my time? Is this a smart investment of my energy? To achieve your author goals, you have to appreciate the principle of opportunity cost. The idea that if you choose to do this thing, you are also choosing simultaneously to not do all these other things. The third reason you want to craft a personal definition of success as soon as possible is because you are going to receive a lot of writing advice on your author journey. And some of it will be solicited and some of it will be unsolicited, but it will always be up to you to decide if something is good advice that is relevant to you based on your path, or just advice that's coming from a good place. Friends and family, for instance, might give you some advice that is a beautiful reflection of the love and care they feel for you, but in no way an accurate prescription for your success. And you have to be able to accept the love and care, however weirdly it's packaged, and reject the advice that is irrelevant to the path you're trying to walk. Even more importantly, it's up to you to figure out what voices you want to seek out and listen to as you pursue your publishing goals, because there are as many paths to publishing as there are people who will give you an opinion on what's best for you. So you have to be really anchored, really grounded in your goals, in what you're trying to achieve. That's the only way you can figure out who you want to pay attention to. And it's called paying attention because it's an investment, right? You're spending your attention, you're investing your attention, and you want to make sure you get a good return on that investment. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I first started taking my author dreams seriously, I was aware of that quote, how you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I didn't know any successful authors. I wasn't surrounded by people who were successfully making a living at freeing the art in their heart. I had to seek out voices like that so I could fill up on that kind of nourishing energy, and people who were constantly seeking inspiration, who were motivated because of their love for the process, for their love for the craft. And fortunately, we live in a time where I can have breakfast with Elizabeth Gilbert and lunch with Aaron Sorkin if I want. And it's all so possible to soak up the mentorship that feeds you so that you can create from overflow. But that doesn't happen on accident. You have to consciously decide, like, okay, where am I going to invest my attention? Essentially, you want to follow the advice that Stephen Covey gives in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. Because when you do that, it sheds light on your first step and your next step and the step after that. It helps you avoid shiny objects because it makes it effortless to evaluate whether something is an asset that will help you on your author journey or a dream derailing distraction that you shouldn't pay any mind to. And finally, it helps you figure out whose advice you want to be actively seeking out and kindly dismissing. So take the time to do this for yourself. Make space to reflect on what your personal definition of success is. Not, what would look cool in your Insta bio or on paper, or what would impress your friends, or what would really frustrate your enemies. What does success as an author actually look and feel like for you? Because this is going to become a lens through which you can view and vet and validate every step you take along your author journey.